Yeah, Shi Chirim. So in Tibetan, it's actually a conventional dying process in Tibetan Buddhism. And in the one sense, I feel like sometimes Westerners are more fortunate than our own people, Tibet, I don't know, Chinese community. Because here, this particular topic, we don't give that teaching in the monastery that often in the monastery. And here, and also even though they give a teaching, they teach as the monastic or traditional way. Sometimes it's difficult to understand, even for the lay people. Like same as without learning any science class, basic science, if you go like chemistry class, you don't understand what they're talking about, right? Same thing. So in our Western here, so all the masters, they just try to, step down to the audience level, and then simplify everything and makes the people understand here, right? And over there, you have to learn that particular terminology and language to then study. So that is a big difference. I feel sometimes you guys are lucky. All the teachings they simplify. Now I saw some lamas, they try to even they match the terminology in the modern science terminology. So that easier for you guys to understand based on your culture terminology. Sometimes, with Buddhism, we're saying, for example, interdependent, right? You understand interdependent, but but still become like kind of more like kind of Buddhist terminology, like karma, all these things, right? So now some lamas, they try to even simplify, try to match with your own cultural language, like more like Christianity. Like for example, there's three we call three refuge, like Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. There's all like three trinity, like similar, they try to match. Then it's easy to understand instead of saying like three Buddhas, three. So just, so feel fortunate if you can. Okay, so this is the least topic that people want to hear, right? I told you earlier, even people don't want to mention the name of it, like death. They say, he disappeared, or he just, passed away here. I use pass away. In Tibetan, we call he just gone, or something like that. So, and no matter what, we have to embrace, we have to encounter, right? So, why do we need to practice death and dying, right? Because death is sudden. We can avoid that, no matter what. So let me look at my timing. Okay. So practicing death and dying, sometimes people think, why I have to, of course, and it's okay, I know about the dying, but why I need to practice it, right? Tibetan Buddhism is particular.
Can you specify what you mean by that?
Yeah, sure, I'm going, yeah. So death is certain, the better prepare, right? So death, dying, why I need to practice death and dying, right? So this is a simple thing. I can learn is dying, but why I have to practice it? So practice is like now these days, all the pilots, they don't fly, right? They have a simulation. So it's like same thing. Like death and dying practice in your lifetime is like a simulation. Or kind of like going to spaceship these days, right? If you go there, it's expensive, right? You really have to die to practice the die. So you don't want to do that, right? So it's like a simulation. Like, now these days, all the astronauts, they just practice in a simulation in whatever the NASA they do, and then it's cheaper and it's helpful, and like a rehearsal. So that's why death and dying practice is very, very popular practice in the Tibetan higher actual practice, though, not for the normal. So in this particular topic, I'm just talking to you here. Sometimes the terminology wise, so we don't really connect it, but this is just basic understanding or shed your light for you to in the future. But some of them it really helps, not like a previous Four Noble Truth. Okay, Four Noble Truth you can really practice on your daily lifetime. It's really helpful. But this one, for death and dying, right? So slightly different. So what is the clinical death in these days, right? So clinically death is death as judged by the medical observation of the cessation of this. I just got from the dictionary.com. Vital function, heartbeat and respiration. The modern resuscitation method and the life support system have required the introduction of the alternative concept of brain death. So now there's so many new technology they produce, like medical equipments. So now the characteristic for the death has become more complicated, right? So now before people say, oh, once they stop heart beating and stop breathing, that's done. So now brain death, they're talking about brain death now, right? Because they have so many different kind of machines to check your brain. So this is the Tibetan Buddhism. Death is the separation of the mind, the consciousness. So now here, I assume you guys accept the mind or whatever. So from the body, this separation may take place over several hours or days, so as Dr. Wu mentioned earlier. And generally, the body loses its ability to maintain the consciousness. So this is the main thing. So gradually, with each element of the body, earth, water, fire, and air, losing its supportive ability to turn, then body started decomposing. So this is the characteristic of the Tibetan or Buddhist characteristic of death. So here, separation of mind from the body. This is number one. Okay. Number two, this separation may take place over several hours or days. So we heard a lot of stories, news. People, became alive from the body back, right? That can tell you this story, right? The clinically dead, brain wave is done, but still they're coming out from the life. What is the answer for that, right? So here it's talking about separation may take place over several hours or days. Respiratory is stopped, heartbeat is done, brain wave is no more there, but still no death according to the Buddhist perspective. Gradually, each element, so gradually, earth, water, fire, all this has to be exhausted. So now, death is certain, right? So there's no possibility way to escape from the death. No one ever has, not even Jesus and Buddha, etc. This is true, right? We all know that. The current world population is over 7.1 billion people, none of them alive in over 120 years. I put a maximum, I don't know who, maybe they say people longevity could be longer, but so this is nobody will be here. In this room, maybe after like 100 years, nobody will be here. So this is the death. So the Buddha's lifetime, when Buddha was walking around in the village, and one mom came with holding a baby in his arm, dead baby, and asked Buddha, could you please, make my baby alive? The mom was crying, so sad. Buddha said, okay, I can help you to make this life if you can find no family has never been passed away, people with a family member, right? And then she went to all the doors, knocked down, she said, Buddha asked him she to bring like, I don't know, ball of rice or whatever to bring from the family who never had a disease in the family, right? And then I can cure, right? She went to knock to I don't know how many doors she knocked, went all the families, and she couldn't find. And came back and Buddha said, I'm sorry, this is the natural phenomena, right? So this is, nobody can, live forever. So it has to be gone. So this is the natural phenomena. So then they really relieved that there is suffering. And death is certain, right? Even though death is certain, if time is certain, then we can prepare, right? We can save enough money, right? Right now we don't know how many years we're going to survive. That's why we're always suffering. How much money I need to, right? So death is certain. Unfortunately, the time is uncertain. That's why we never know. We have to prepare all the time. If the death is time is certain, so happy, right? You can enjoy it. Why we cannot enjoy it? Because we never know when you're going to die. So time is uncertain. The duration of our lifespan is uncertain. There are no order for death. Younger may die before older, no healthy die before second one. That is also true, right? There's no such order for death. If we have order, older people go die first, then the younger generation can enjoy it. But actually not. So many younger generation you may have experience in your lifetime, right? So that is it can be extended. Yes, if you are really in Buddhism, if you're a really good practitioner, we have a long life rituals like longevity. So that is could be, you say, like because of health thing, like these days people are doing more eating healthy food, all these things can extend your life. This is one way, but in Buddhism and traditionally we have a practice for longevity practice. So there is but it's not that easy as like taking a pill and you can live for 10 more years, right? So it needs with all the conditions you have to accomplish for meet first. If you want to extend your life to build more nuclear weapon, then your practice won't work, right? If you practice your longevity practice in order to help other people, that's different because the energy is different. You're doing same prayer, you're doing same thing, but your energy is different. So the energy won't work for like negative things. So who can help after death? Right? The only thing that can help after death and the time of the death is the one's mental or spiritual development. That is the Buddhist perspective. Okay, here everything is based on the Buddhist perspective, okay? So you can have more questions, we can discuss more later. So neither worldly wealth, position, and relative can help. All that goes on the next life is our mind and its karmic positive and negative imprint. Okay, here it says, the only thing that can help after the death at the time of the death is one's spiritual or development. Is it true? Right? So there is neither worldly wealth, you cannot bring wealth with you, and position, no matter you're like king or CEO or whatever, we can see like even if you have like $1 billion Steve Jobs is gone, right? So relative, nobody can help. Only you can help. But when? Now. Right? Whatever you do now, it helps you. All that goes to the next life is our mind with karmic positive. So Buddhism talking about the mind's many different level of the mind. So we call subtle mind and grosser mind. So subtle mind is the mind that goes to the life to life. So that carries the karmic to the next life. It's like a vehicle. So that mind travels with the energy, the wind energy. So it's like a subtle wind energy. So just mind itself cannot matter. So it has to have a vehicle. So mind, wind is the vehicle. So wind or energy carries the mind. So mind carries the karmas. So process of dying. So now that from here is different. So when you're dying, this is the process of dying. So now it's based on the people who are healthily dying, as Dr. Wu mentioned earlier, without any drugs, peacefully, not so much pain. Okay, so a very lucid mind, very clear mind. Then there is an internal sign, external sign. So outer dissolution of the sense power, the inner dissolution of the sense mental states. This internal sign, external sign. There's two different signs it may occur. Okay, so now this is the first stage of death. So I'm not going detail about this one, but I'll just go orderly, but it makes it more understandable. Sometimes if we try to explain more, so it becomes more convincing than confusing. So I just try to be simple, then we can have more discussion afterwards if we have a time. So first one is earth element dissolved into the water. So our body, as we said in Chinese medicine, so we are formed with the 5 elements, right? So everything corresponding to our body masses. And second one is water element dissolved into the fire. Third one is fire dissolved into the wind, and wind dissolved into the white appearance mind. So once you come that stage, and clinically said he's dead, when the wind dissolved into the white appearance. So now this is the process after we stop breathing, that conventionally we say he's already died. Okay, white appearance mind dissolve into the red appearance mind. Red appearance dissolve into the black near attained mind. Black near attained mind into the clear light mind. Then mind of clear light state. So that is the final stage. This is the border between intermediate part, whatever that we said earlier, intermediate life, then this life. So this is stay here. And so here, all these terminologies, like, kind of simple, but doesn't make any sense sometimes, like a white appearance dissolved into the red appearance. So that is talking about the internal experiences. So why all these internal experiences occur when you're dying process? Because we have so many winds and channels in our body. So these are some sort of like a process of the dissolving, or process of the emptying the energies and the dissolving energy each other. So that this kind of connection creating all these kind of experiences. First one is earth element dissolved into the water. Okay, so that is if you watch very carefully for the people diseasing by peacefully, and with the conscious, even though they can talk, but you can see actually all these external signs. I had many experience with many senior monks passing away, and so outer dissolution of the sense power, this external sign that you can see. The body becomes very thin, limbs loses, sense that body is sinking under the earth, and one cannot open their eyes. So that means like all the muscles are weakened, so it cannot actually hold. So this is the earth element, right? So if you see the real patient, so the patient may ask you, he feel like he's sinking, he may ask you, could you hold me? Right, you feel like it's sinking. And if they cannot talk, they feel like kind of holding it. You may see this kind of holding it. This is the process of the earth element dissolving into the water. So you feel like it's sinking. So that's why I try to hold it. So then inner appearance like mirage, right? So if you have drive through Arizona, you can see mirage. In India, I heard mirage from my teachings, but I didn't have any experience because we live in kind of hilly kind of places, right? So when I driving here, Arizona, in 1999 came here, we drove through to New Mexico. Man, I really experienced mirage. I feel like, wow, that is amazing, great. So mirage. So your experience, like you have it fully the mirage there. So you are the mirage. This is internal experiences. So now second one is water element dissolving into the fire. So that external sign is slava. So you can, this is actually logically, right? All the fluid part of your body dries out. Slava, sweat, urine, blood, regenerative fluid dry greatly, and one no longer hear internal sounds. So actually it has a more detail, but I just try to, just compact and simplify it. But it has a more, if you look at the Tibetan textbook. So I just try to make it shorter. And so all this, right, the fluid. So at that time, they may ask you water. Yeah, like sometimes, when I look at my dad, I saw he's like kind of like always licking something. That means feel dry. He wants something water, but he cannot ask, but feel like very, very dry. So these are if you spend enough time and see the dying person, died peacefully, you can see all these signs. So, by the way, we have a tradition that when doctor says, oh, he cannot cure anymore, we just bring home right away. Yeah, bring home right away. So that is the water, and its internal appearances. It's like the appearance in a smoky place. For me, the closest that I can imagine is when we fly in the cloud. So that was my understanding of in the textbook says, kanang tuwadabu, like, you are in this midst of the smoke, like a chimney. This says chimney. Typically it says tukung, chimney. So then I just typed in, chimney. So basically not like, looking like this, but you are midst of the chimney smoke. It's like, I think best imagination that I think is when we fly in the middle of the thick cloud. That is I think, kind of like, and also like very thick, foggy, right? In here, not that many, but some places in very, very foggy places in India. By the way, I was born and raised in India. So some talk a lot about India, right? Maybe you noticed that. I was like, why are you talking about India? You're a Tibetan man. I'm Indian. So now 5 elements dissolve into the wind. Absence of body temperature, one feel cold, absence of internal heat, they cannot digest food or drink, one can no longer remember the name of the close person, inhalation weak, exhalation strong, and health in lengthy, like homo, extended their breathing out, exhaling out. So that time, if he or she can talk, he may ask you more blanket, because the water element, heat, fire element is gone. You feel like more cold. So you can touch the feet and you can feel, this usually we say, right, oh, now feet is cold, so no good sign. Now everybody's feet cold these days, right, winter. So that is the external symbol, a sign. The inner is, guess what? Appearance of the fireflies or spark within the smoke. So I probably would say without this light, like this kind of thing, like, do you have a chance to see very, very dark sky in this area, or everywhere is light, right? You don't have a chance to see. When you're in very, very dark, the place where I grew up is like, very dark. So it's really, even this one fireflies, you can see very clearly. So there's like many of them, like actually like the stars in the dark sky. So this is the internal experiences. So now the wind element dissolving into the mind of the white appearances. So now that is the kind of final stage of the clinically saying he is dead. So outer dissolution, inhalation and exhalation ceases, right? Stop. Tongue becomes thick and short, root of the tongue becomes blue, one cannot experience the taste. So I try to like a little bit speed up. So usually if I have the time, I just let people meditate, visualize in each process. So we say, next time we can do that one. It's more actually interesting though when you try to visualize first you see the picture and try to internalize, visualize, it is kind of give you more. But you just get an idea, right? Go back home and do it. But don't worry, you're going to die again. So, and then appearance of the mental state, inner dissolution is totally dark. Appearance, oh my, sorry, this is not clear. This is in here I made a video, by the way. In candlelight, they show first. Coming. So have you ever seen the big candles? End of the dying it? You see it's like kind of very, very fast moving, like. So this is kind of like, you know, internal appearance he or she has, like just kind of like. So this is normal, right? So when you see candle in the wind, right? Just so also when the candle almost ending, you can see the same. Even though there's no wind, but it moves so fast at the end of it. You can just observe that. You can observe that when you go home. Just try it. Just see end of the. It's very fast, like. So we have a saying. When some people just like very active or doing, when you have a debating class, right? So we say you are like ending of the candle. That means you're sad, but then you're going to be at the end anyway. So. Any question first? Then we just stop here first, and then we talk more.
Well, I would like to ask one question.
Yes.
When you're, so you're working with normal people who are passing, then they have a normal consciousness. Then it's easy to help them or guide them. But also in the process, if people have the disease, then you're also helping them to release the consciousness or to relax. I mean, people with great sickness, if you're present during their passing, in order to help them, you are guiding them.
Right.
Okay.
So that's hardest part here. These sometimes people don't accept the dying. That is the hard to help, right? They don't want to die. They always try to. So in our culture, sometimes bad thing is sometimes the doctor says you cannot. There's no cure. People don't tell the patient. If you tell them, it's kind of like, you know, it makes you more sick. So that is sometimes, you know, it's harder, right? So they want to know, and then if they don't know, they always try to expect to live longer. They try to ask you all kind of like possibilities. That is harder. So if somebody accept the dying, for example, my friend, I will share you later. So my friend, American friend who brought me here first time, she passed away last year because of the liver cirrhosis. So yeah, these kind of people, then so easy to help. In here, people totally, you know, hallucination with the drugs is harder too, right? We don't know. So this we talk later. I will tell you more about when it comes to the dying, when actual dying things. Yes.
In those stages, do you know the authority for those very specific states of like mental dissolution?
I know. They're called dying with dignity or something.
I'm sorry?
You're talking about the dying dignity or something like a.
No, I'm just wondering, what's the authority to
Identify each state.
Oh, I mean this is actually, you know, most of the thing internal sign we cannot. That's why I was saying if you have to spend time with the dying person, so they say like sometimes, you know, hanging something. These are the external signs we can just guess, but still we cannot exactly.
I would think that people that are meditators or yogas or
Oh, they're totally different.
well, but they would be able to experience or
Yeah, they are totally. No, actually, we all experiences. All this. Now I'm going to go through more subtle experience feeling. Okay, it's like that.
No,
Yes.
what I'm saying is that if you have someone who is able to
Experience.
share that experience who is not dying with somebody who is, they can bring that experience, they can document.
I mean, documented. Oh,
Right.
I mean, this documentation. Yeah, probably like 1,000 years ago, somebody did it. Documented.
That's
Yeah.
I'm guessing was
Yeah, guessing it. Yeah.
So somebody very sensitive is able to.
Yeah, right. Go through all this process. Yeah, you're right. That's like, you know, ancient time, right? So now this is everybody, you know, rely on the machine.
People now would do the same thing who are advanced, I would assume.
Yeah, right. So now internal thing is hard to. We can just tell, right, what they're feeling now, experiencing. Yeah, in the ancient time, you're right. So some master, they just have very, very sensitive, you know, feeling. They're very high practicing, so they just can go through all this. Or also they can just actually sync with the actual person dying, right? So they can document it, yeah.
But there's nothing that would preclude somebody who's sensitive now from doing the same thing.
Yeah, okay, I will talk a little more about these things. I have more slide here, okay? Obama's tired now listening to my talk. I like his speech. I just look at many pictures of Yanni. I found his speech. I love it. So just pretty. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to talk more about subtle mind, right? So there rather was that channel and chakra. So now, once we stop breathing, many of all these appearances is corresponding with the process of connecting or dissolution, entering all these channels or winds, energy in the body. So I just give you the idea. So we have 3 channels going through. We call Uma, Rama, Kyangma. There's 3 channels. So it has this is the channel that draw for the breathing practice, okay, meditation. So this is for the Tibetan medical Tanga, so Tibetan medical chart, Tibetan medicine picture. So it has you can see the chakras here. Here there is a knots. So we're saying there is a very, very important knots around our heart chakra. So this is the final stage of the dying that has to be released. That you have a different kind of. So when people try the breathing practice in here is like just breathing in and out, right? So the actual breathing practice is try to open up the channels. There is one knot channel. So practice inhaling, exhaling to loosen up that particular channel. Then wind energy can go through. That gives you the internal development.
And when you say particular channel, you mean the heart one or you mean the other one?
I mean that hard one, yeah. So this is for like our regular normal breathing, like just inhale, exhale, or visualizations. But that one we have talking about, there's a particular knot, like heart knot. Our heart has one particular knot. So high tantric practitioner breathing practice is to untie that knot by practicing breathing. Okay, so yeah, it's kind of more complicated, so just keep it this way. So now you stop breathing, and then doctor said, write death certificate, it's gone, put in the body bag in the refrigerator. So now all these things going through the person who is in the refrigerator, okay, in the body bag. So they have a white appearance dissolve into the red increases. We call red increases. So cause of this is the wind in the right and left channel. You saw earlier 3 channels, right? About heart enter the channel top of the head. So energy is passing away. So that's why it causes the appearances. So based on the channel color, and then our male and female we call breeze. So it creates the different kind of appearances. So when they have what kind of appearance it is, like we call like a full moon atom, right? Atom season, like fall in America called. So actually I cannot find the picture that I really want. It's not talking about the moon in here, okay? So imagine you are in Arizona, and we always call autumn season like fall, because in California it's exceptional. So if they have seasons, right? So summer we have a lot of rain, and then before winter, the fall is the most clear sky because all the dust are settled because of the rain in the summer, right? So that is talking about the clear. They want to talk about clear without any dust in the sky. So if you go to Arizona in the desert and full moon without any cloud, like clear sky. So this is the kind of appearance that you have that particular moment. So not talking about the full moon. I just put there as an example. I cannot find that kind of scenario. So so now second one is the red appearances dissolving into the black near attained, right? So what is the cause of the appearances? Is the wind in the right and left channel about the heart enter central channel at the base of the spine. So I cannot actually just guide you that, but this is the, as I mentioned earlier, you just accept it, whatever is there. So now it has a internal appearances that the person experiencing in the body back. So imagine without the sun, just it's the same season, like, you know, autumn season, the fall season, in the daytime, in the desert, like it's just totally bright, kind of a little bit reddish kind of thing, but yellowish kind of reddish. But this I just found the picture sample, but not exactly like this, but more like kind of reddish kind of color in a totally blank space. So now near attained man dissolve into the clear light. So clear light is the light. Have you heard about the practicing emptiness meditation? This is the final stage of meditation, you know, for the practitioner. So try to have that one. So then the upper and lower wind gather at the heart, then the wind enter drop at the heart. So it has a more complicated explanation, but I cannot write down here and cannot talk because it's more confusing sometimes. So basically, cause of this clear light is because of this. So now the internal sign is totally dark without any stuff, any light. Just here it's hard to imagine, you experience it here. So when you walk in totally dark, like there is a new moon and end of the full moon, there is a few days, very, very, very dark. So that is the particular time they're talking about. When you're walking, you actually even cannot see your back of your palm, back of your hand. So in Tibetan, we're saying in palm of your hand. America saying back of your hand. So I have to train my mind to saying that. So basically that means you cannot see your that close, right? So now the clear light. The clear light is the one of the very, very important critical stage for the practitioners. So we as normal people, we go through all the stages but without knowing it. It's like a let us say, for example, like me, I went to Half Moon Bay, right? My first time in Half Moon Bay, and I have no idea how Half Moon Bay is. Just went there, somebody dropped me there, just went there and made a program there for 7 days. And after a month, I went to New Mexico. They said, "You've been Half Moon Bay?" I said, "We've been Half Moon Bay." Wow, it's so beautiful. You know, it's a very popular place when in California. You know, it's near San Francisco. I said, "Okay." I just realized that, right? Now whenever I go there, I can enjoy it. Half Moon Bay. And that time, I don't know, I cannot enjoy. I cannot enjoy doesn't mean I don't have a kind of feeling or having fun, because I don't know. So when we're dying, we're doing the same thing. We're just passing all this, but we cannot recognize it without knowing it, right? So you just drive Napa Valley, same thing. My first America, then same night they dropped me to Napa Valley. I spent Napa Valley for 3 or 4 years. And then we are in Napa Valley at the top of the hill. And next morning I look at the Edwards vineyard, right? It's like, wow, what kind of place I were in this? This is not America. America for us is like a tall buildings, right? It's like a same as where I used to live. And then later I found out Napa Valley is, you know, popular winery and all these places. People say, wow, there's like so many Hollywood people, they have a house there. I said, oh, okay. So now when I go to Half Moon Bay, the Half Moon Bay in Napa Valley, I can enjoy it and I can talk to people like, you know, wow, you know, winery, this thing. So same thing, like, you know, death and dying process, same thing. We are going through all these things, but we cannot recognize it. But the real practitioner, okay, how can you distinguish between practitioner dying and the normal people dying? When normal people die, we're scared of it, right? Even though you say, I accept it, but you cannot really fully enjoying dying, just dying as just accept it. But when the practitioner dying it, we said practitioners can't wait to have this particular experience called clear light mind experiences. That's the one. That's the one they're waiting for it, okay? When they met this, the feeling of the practitioner should be like mother is going to meet their son after like 40, 50 years. Can you imagine? You know, you okay, let's say you have separate with your kids for like 15 years or 10 years, maybe 1 year in here, you can say moms are very emotional, right? father maybe need a longer time, mothers even 1 month or 1 year. So this is the kind of feeling when you going to see in dying, the practitioner have kind of like a what I call urge to meet this clear light. We call Western Mabutava means when he is practicing the lifetime, it is the son, the children of the clear light. It's not really actual clear light, right? So when they actually have that stage, this is the mother clear light. So then when mother and son, in Tibetan, we always, Asian maybe culture, we always use mother and son, because son, they feel more precious, right? So always, it doesn't mean like a son, it's like for general children. So meet how they feel. So much, cannot wait, right? To see, they're counting the days and hours, right? At the airport, when you're waiting at the airport. So this is the feeling the practitioner should have when you're dying it. Can't wait to have that stage. So this is the stage is called, once white and red drops are dissolved into the subtle white and red drops. So this is the red and white drop talking about the man and female essence. So that is the one heart chakra has a space to locate these two from mom's one come from the top of your head and father's come from the bottom of your body and they just collapse. Stay in that area. So then this is the creating a appearance is called dissolution, white and black appearances, mind to the clear light death. This is like kind of white, total like with clear light. So that is the practitioner meditate. So have you heard about the meditating after death? So we have a culture saying people, we were tudam in Tibetan, okay? So many practitioners in my my life, actually, my teacher, they passed away. Clinically, they say he's dead. But still, body has a little bit temperature, sometimes no temperature, but body never, decompose for like many days. For example, my teacher, 3 weeks. That was last year. And the weather conditions not like here. Environments like hot wind, don't have even good bad. They sometimes they put like a plastic underneath because they worry about the dropping all these things, right? Just try to protect the cushion. So people, this is not the what they call it. It's very common in Tibetan culture. So now there is a scientist group in MIT. They had a project to research on that particular mind. So it's been like 3 or 4 years now. But the problem is they have to be ready 24 hours, right? So they did some research. If you go to internet, I haven't checked it. If you go to internet, I will give the name of the Tibetan this thing. So they cannot tell, but what they do, they train some Tibetan doctor in India, and they give them all equipments. And then they go there, they just scan, right? Whatever they put all the electronic things, and they just scan it. They just send back to here. So I don't know what they can find. It's not that easy to find what is going on because these are like very subtle experiences, right? So it's happening. People passed away and stay in that kind of stage for many days. Yes. And then there is a practice called Powa practice after the people die. So Powa practice is as I said, when people die, leave their body and consciousness separate, right? So the Powa practice sometimes helps to release their consciousness from the body sooner without disturbing like a normal way. So that is kind of particular practice to help. And that also help saying that particular practice help the consciousness go a little bit higher realm if somebody get a chance to have this particular practice called Powa practice. Yeah, so actually these are YouTube, okay, it has a second version too. So this is one, they documented. So now luckily Dalai Lama is interested into science. It's been a long time. So that's why he allowed our master monastery communities to communicate with the Western science and let them do research on it. He said, these may, it's not talking about like converting people into Buddhism, but it may help the scientists change the way they think, where they look at the life. So he encourages Tibetan monks to study the modern science, especially neuroscience and the biology and physics. So there is a second part too. Do you want to watch the second part? Yeah, so this is very, I think it's very common, but in the last few years, we had about like 6 monks, lamas, like that. And for our culture, it's normal. And really, amazed, like, that means it shows how great he is like, during the, practice, right? So we have a saying in the monasteries, monks are usually, they're very humorous. They just always tease each other. You cannot, when they come to this, it's actually new in this world, right? I grew up in this. So in school, I feel students are very serious. Yeah, they are very serious. They cannot joke and just like very serious. They actually study, I don't know, whatever reason. So, and they are very humorous and then cheat a lot. So monks, they're saying usually, they just try to tease each other, right? So some monks are there. So, I don't know how to say bad or good. So the thing is, we always hide on practice. This is a practitioner shouldn't expose your practice, right? So that will have an obstacle for your practice. This is what we said. So that's why in many years we don't let the Westerners document all these things. So luckily Dalai Lama is very open to the science. So he just said, let they observe and they document it. It may help, in the world, in a good way. So, and monks saying, some monks are like, monks are human beings, right? Just, I don't know whether showing off or what, they just practice in front of the people, they just tell and practice this. And they say, okay, don't tell me now, I will see when you die. Right? So it really, tells a really different things that I saw many monks, right? Some monks looks like, in here, when I take psychology class, they're saying, whatever they describe the mental disorder people in the normal life, I saw this in the real practitioners' way of doing it, right? No washing face, no trimming there, no grooming and, no clean clothes, like, all these things. So this is they say, psychologists say, when you look at the depressed people, you look at it, see, they, no wash, no clean clothes, no face washing, no brush teeth, all this happen in the real, I feel like I cannot say, and I just listen, right? It's like, okay, right? So yeah, this is how different culture problem, right? So if you don't know the culture, it is hard. So psychologists may diagnose these great practitioners like a mental disorder people, right? So, and yeah, I saw what I really when I was little, usually it's so afraid to see the deceased people, dead body, because in here, when people died, they just wash, they made it very clean, put in a nice, coffin and, put in new clothes. Sometimes they do makeup, right? And over there, no way. Rooms are not that clean, like clean. Environment's not that clean, and then they don't really wash all these things, right? And when you go see the dead person's face, it's scary looking. So when I see the monks are really practicing like meditation, in the tutam, we can see, we don't have that kind of feeling there. You feel like I'm going to see the real normal person. That is you can feel the energy. So difference. And then also before they die, they know. So monks are like monasteries are like, okay, let me look at the time. I don't want to go. So actually kind of done. So part is done. Okay, we just talk more about it. So they are like family members, student and masters. They are like family each other, right? So before they die, they already divided. This part go do, this part do that. So it's already clean. So my dad, he's not really a great practitioner, but when I see he's really an amazing person. So I traveled a lot. He passed away in 2005. I was in Russia at that time. I had a big program there. So I had to fly to India to see him. And well, I have only 3 days because I have another, I canceled 2-3 programs. I have a group amongst their doing program, but they canceled my part. I flew there for 3 days to see my dad before he died. He wasn't bad for a while. I told them, when he's very serious going to die, just call me. I want to see him the last day. And they called me, and I went there. And then when I got there, he was really sick and almost dying. And I asked him, okay, what do you want to tell me? He said, we cremated, okay? Not like in here, cremation. We have cremated outdoor. We have to have all the woods and everything. He said, okay, I have 10,000 rupees, give it to my friend to do the prayer after me die, because he thinks my mom cannot handle all these things, right? He said, I bought now he 2 gallons of the oil, like kerosene to burn. I said, I bought this kerosene here. I bought a cotton to fill here, so everything's set. So this is the he should be doing. Then I feel more comfortable because I feel like he's ready now, right? If he doesn't do this, he asks me treatment, I feel so bad, right? They cannot be treated, and then what can I do? So because he's doing that way, it makes everybody happy, more easy to release it. So that is the dying person should be doing, but it's hard, not easy though. So, and then we have a culture to doing prayers after people disease, right? So we do every 7 days. Started with that, we have to do 7 days for 49 days. So now after we died, we got pardo, intermediate life. So probably it may come. Okay, normal people, at least for 3 days, if we have this tradition that we're saying this. And sometimes, actually most of the, astrology, right? If there's no astrologist, Tibetan people cannot do anything. They cannot celebrate for the wedding, they cannot celebrate spiritual thing, they cannot do dead person, because everything based on the astrological thing. So astrology tells you who can touch, we look at the sign. And then all these things, direction. So there's at least give for 3 days. Sometimes, based on the astrological, then they have to do maybe 1 day or 2 days. So this depends. So mostly they say try to 3 days traditionally. And then masters, they stay even longer, right? So when the masters retreat, so my teacher was in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Sometimes I heard that once happened, one of the masters stays too long, and they have to request him to release. Well, we have a particular ritual to do that. Can you believe it? Yeah. So now we have become more open. So now Indians are come to visit too. And traditionally, nobody can touch, nobody can see. Just very concealed because we feel it disturbing him. So now become more open. People come to visit him, pray him, but still it happens. On these kind of people, okay, for example, my teacher, I told you, very, very hot South India, hot weather, hot wind, and laying down on the plastic, can you imagine? But still, they can stay 3 weeks without any decay in the body. So, but no answer. We said it's too dumb meditating, but we don't know, right? This is what we believe. So nobody can answer. Right now, the guy, the forensic, whatever, what he used, mystical, all kind of what he used, right? He cannot explain. And then after that, we do every weekly prayer. So pardo is the life, intermediate life between death and next life. So every 7 days is his lifespan. Could be died before that, but 7 days is the maximum lifespan. So that's why we do every 7 days prayer to help him to reincarnate better life. So at that time, my dad case, right? He already dedicated 10,000 rupees to his friend for his prayer. That means he already dedicated by himself. So a lot of people doing this after you died, right? Your family members do your belonging, but your family members doing it. But we don't know how much you're getting it because you don't know you really dedicated or not, right? That, as mentioned earlier, right? Dedication is very important. Releasing is very important, right? If you don't release it, even though somebody used your money to do this prayer, but we don't know how much you're getting it. So one of the Master Buddha saying, doing prayers after you die, even though it's your own money, it is like dropping a handful of the flour, the powder, dropping from the 10th floor, and you're holding like this. So how much you're getting it? You don't know, right? It's possible. No, this is the same as, so better do when you're alive. That means you really did it by yourself, right? Otherwise somebody did it for you. You never know. And then weekly. So every week we do prayer. And when people die, we usually say, don't cry, don't mourn. Because the person who died, I'm talking about normal people, okay, like us. We're confused. We don't know what happened. So when they can see, deceased person can see you, you are crying, you're confused. What happened? Right? Why are you crying? So it makes him or her more suffering. It disturbs his mind, her mind. So that's why we better do some more prayer. So we have a tradition to bringing the monks to 24 hours prayer until the body is cremated. Especially that particular moment is very important to doing something good things. Don't him confuse. If you do some prayers, then he know, oh, maybe I died, so now he have a chance to think. Otherwise, he get confused. So there's a prayer can help. Crying can destroy. So every week we do. So every week is the maximum lifespan for the parto. And so parto, I use Tibetan terminology. I don't want to confuse, right? It's like intermediate, like between the life. And then 49 days is the maximum reborn parto's life. So it has to reborn again in any kind of beyond this parto's intermediate form, animal or human, whatever. They have the 6 realms. Okay, so yeah, in Tibet we have a tradition to do sky burial. Have you seen that? It's very graphic. You can go to Google these days. You can see all kind of pictures. I saw in my own when I was in Tibet 2004, and so I talked to the guy. He's kind of concerned because there's no younger generation want to practice that one. That his profession. That is his concern. This is actually many ancient people concerned like nobody's trying to culture thing, right? And so remember I told you earlier POA, like releasing your consciousness sooner or something. So we have this practice you can do during the lifetime that can kind of give imprint for when you are alive, and then when you die it helps because it's kind of like dormant when you are alive time. So when you die, they activate. So it helps you to release your consciousness in the higher realm. So I went. The guy was, doing the sky burial. So many, for so scary though, But these kind of big vultures. I'll show you the picture here. No, it's not graphic though. Look at the pictures. They're so big. Okay, they're very friendly. Very friendly. And then guy showed me the person's head. As a crown, it has a tiny hole and some kind of like something coming out. What looks like a nerve or something, just coming up and he explained to me, he said, this person get a POA practice in a lifetime. Because usually when you do POA practice, consciousness released from the body, for the head, we said. So they just keep having if there's a really great practitioner, they really, make something for your head, the dead diseased person's head. Okay. So he said he got a lifetime POA practice. I said, how can you tell? Because this hole is old, it's growing something from there. If it's a fresh one, it's just hole. I believe him because he's been doing this for his lifetime, right? He saw so many different people. So this is, I just talking it, but I haven't seen it, but this guy has more experience, right? He's actually doing it. So, once we die, you die, right? So then you better just make for useful, right? When we were alive, we didn't do any useful for our life, but when you die still, if you don't do a useful thing, nothing. So then we have a culture to give the animal. You cannot believe it. How many animals there? One person body can feed all these animals, so I cannot believe it. So this particular person, people can talk to them, they communicate, they know he has a name for all these things. And we culturally, we have a saying, some people, they're very, we call, in Christian call sinful person. I use the Christian terminology, okay, but the bad karma people. But when they die, they said, very hard to invite the vulture to come to eat. Yeah, it happens, they said. We have a saying that. So they can tell, they can feel the energy. These vultures are huge. Look at the size of them, like a goat or something, right? And they're very friendly, so you can just actually pet them. It's awesome. So, and then look at how many animals you can feed by our body, right? So once you die, you better make useful, right? I told my wife, if there's anybody, just give it away. But she said, no way, just cremate, everything is cremated. But in India, we just cremate it because we don't have such tradition to do in India. So I was born in India, right? And yeah, and so here, what we can do is, you can sign your driver's license saying my organ donation. I did, right? It's kind of scary, but I did, because good thing in this culture in America, I hope, all right? They really take it out you, they know you're really, really, really dying or dead, right? In other countries in India, now I look back that our monks and young generations dying in the Indian hospital, now I know they took organs now. Because we have a saying, oh, you know, my master died in the hospital but didn't have any operation, so now I bought the body, already cut it. So many songs there. Now I'm thinking back all these things, okay? 10 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, one young monk died by accident. And I heard they're saying, actually lately I heard they're saying, you know, he passed away, he didn't have any surgery because of accident, but when they got his body, a lot of cuts. So now I'm thinking all this, now I'm thinking back, yeah, so, but people over there, they have no idea. In India, Tibetan people, right? Even they know they cannot fight, it's like all the corruption, right? So yeah, so that's why in here what we can do is, we can just sign, hopefully somebody can enjoy my organs, who knows, right? And then masters, when they recremated, right? It's different than what they recremated. Once they cremated, there is some relics you can find in his ash, called ringsil in Tibetan. So if I will give the name of rings, maybe see if I have a name of in here. I talk all these things, right? Bardo, I talk about the 7 days, yeah, I did. These are 6 realms, so it has all different stories for the next time later. Yeah, 6 realms. So after we die, we reborn in all these places. These are the 6 realms. 3 higher realms, 3 lower realms. There is one group, they have a tour, they call relic tour. So they tour America very often actually, called Buddhist relic tour. So they can find like a tiny pearl looking beads you found from the ashes. But I haven't seen the real from the ashes, but I saw the relics. I haven't seen from the ashes.
Lingam? Lingam?
I don't know what that means.
When the master can create.
No. That is after he died, after cremated. But this is not by his cremated lifetime. These are like a normal person. They don't have this power. They just don't have any kind of. But when they cremated, they can find all these things. So now this is Buddha's relic, right? So very popular in many stupas in India. And so Buddha's relic they still have. So relics is not just part of his body. It's come from after they cremated. But I heard the scientists, they did the research on the chemistry, but they couldn't find any chemical what it is. So it looked like a pearl looking. So if you go to Google and YouTube, you can find, but they have a touring in America very often. There's a Buddhist center in Santa Cruz. They're organizing this one because their master passed away and he left all these relics.
It's not perfectly round, it's more like a teardrop shape.
It looks like kind of pearl kind of looking something, yeah.
It's not perfectly round.
No problem. Yeah, in many different shapes and sizes, yeah. And sometimes we have a saying in multiples.
Yeah.
Yep, in multiples. So, and then next life. So now these days it become more and more obvious now. There's many, if you go to YouTube, there's many people talking about the next, even your next life, whatever incarnation, right? Did you heard about it?
Next
Yeah.
life?
Yeah, your past life, they remember the past life?
Uh-huh.
So that means the life is recycling. So I found many of them, but I found two. One Indian, one Western. I just found. So they are no Buddhists. They are just taught a normal family. So yeah, you can just go to view this video. I don't want to show that because no good sound, right? So you can just go and Google it. I mean YouTube it. Yeah,
There's
next.
several videos on YouTube.
Yeah, you can see these days.
The kids, they're...
Yeah, kids
they're
are
like
kids are.
amazing.
Yeah.
There's one guy that was in UK, and he remembered a life in Wales.
Sorry, I'm deep showing.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, so that is the just brief talk, very fast, and sorry for.
I have a question about when you talk about crying, it makes them suffer when we cry because they don't want us to suffer.
Yeah, right,
Why-
yeah. Because they are actually die, but still they have very, very close feeling to when he or she was alive, so they can't disturb her transaction. Yeah, this is what we say. So, how was it? It's 1.5 hours.
So see, we're talking about the Taoism, they have a redemption,
Mm-hmm.
like a 1 year, 1 day in a year. If the spirit go to like a bad wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So what about the Buddhism? Do they have similar?
Actually, Buddhism is once after the 49 days, and they do a 1 year ceremony. Then after that, we don't do that much. Yeah, 49 days very important one, and then 1 year annually ritual and prayer, and after that we don't do that much. We don't have any recurring expenses. Yes.
I kind of missed that on the bar. It was 7 lives in 7 days.
Yeah. Okay, this is the intermediate life. So 7, like for example, human life is the maximum is 100 days. Let's say, right? These days, maximum 100 days, 100 years. Sorry, right? So same thing like in the Parto intermediate life, 7 days his maximum life.
Okay, so, but I saw something about 7 lives. 7. Is that just a typo?
No, maybe type I didn't say. Yeah, 7 days. Yeah, 7 days
In the Bardo.
in a Bardo, and they have to die and reborn. So whether they reborn in the Pardo's life or they find their own next life, we never know. But we keep doing until 49 days because 49 is the maximum date they can live.
Okay, so you say you're reborn in that intermediate.
Right, 7 times, right? Yeah.
You can be. Okay.
Can be, or maybe they found in the next life sooner, or maybe so maximum is this 49 days.
At that point it has.
Yeah, so we do every weekly, and then 49 days the biggest one. So after 49 days, that's if you have to force you to find the life.
I heard from an American Indian that when somebody dies and they visit everywhere that they've been.
Mm-hmm. Could be, yeah. So okay, Pardo's time, yes. Pardo is the life of we call like this. There is no. It's like wind. He can go through, travel everywhere. It's like our dream. Okay, dream. You can travel all over the world and come next morning you're still in your bed, right? So this is kind of like similar as a dream. Bardo's body or life. So you can just, as soon as you can think something, you just got there. So we never know if he's going to visit each family or not, but possible because he's on imprint from his lifetime. He may do that. Yeah. So yeah. And then most important thing is this one. So Pardo has no form. It's formless, right? So we have some kind of prayer is kind of feeding him or her in Pardo's lifetime. Is just we burn some food. It's because he can only eat the smell. Because he has no physical body, so that's what we believe. So we every morning, so many families they do 3 times like regular his meal time for 49 days. They burn the, also the monks, they bless all the food, substance, whatever. We usually, tsamba is Tibetan white barley flour, and put a little bit butter, whatever. So this whatever he or she eats, so we usually offer.
So if we don't do that in our culture, I mean,
They're hungry.
Really?
They're starving. We don't know. So yeah, this is the what Buddhism is saying is happening, but in here we don't do it, but we don't know, right? That's why. So we have to be more Western scientists has to do more research or do something. So this your own depends on your belief system. So we, as a grow up in a family like this kind of belief system, so kind of like we don't feel kind of strange or surprising or different kind of thing. We just kind of assume like everything is like that. So, but still, we do debate. We have a debating. We just try to find more and more details. So now these days, next life thing. So more because the YouTube, picture or video thing. So you can see more and more people talking about your past life, right? So yeah, it cannot be seen, but there is something there. But gradually, everything could be revealed.